Novak, here I am.
Ubi Tennis.
Ubi Tennis, thank you. Well, in the last 13 times in the last 16. 13 times in the last 16. In 14 times you played, last 14 years you played here, so it's not bad.
You will have to repeat this because
Okay,
I'm trying to follow you. 13
times.
13 times
that
of 16
you are in the
what?
last 16.
30 of last
14 years.
Oh, okay.
So it's not too bad.
A lot of, not too bad. There's a lot of numbers.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I would like to know what you think about, and also about this other matter. Talking to Mats Wilander the other day, he said, I think that Novak will have more slams titles than Federer and Nadal at the end of the career, because he's younger and so. And he finally said, if they were all at the same number of slams, Djokovic should deserve to be considered the best, because he had to play against cactus, and Djokovic and Nadal and Federer were playing against lilas, I mean, flowers.
You quoted him, really. That's what he said.
The phrase is,
wow.
You played against cactus because you had to play Nadal, Federer.
In the desert.
In the desert. While the others...
With no water.
Yes. The others had to play against lilas, which are flowers.
Yes, lilas, yes. Where to start, my friend? Let's start with the first mathematical equation that you came up with. I didn't know about the stat. It's obviously pleasure to know that I've done so well in a Grand Slam, because throughout my career I've always valued, I think I'm not the only one, but you know, in my case it was always priority to play my best in Grand Slams, you know, in the biggest events, and I think this stat probably shows my commitment to the slams, or my performances, and here in Roland Garros, particularly in terms of consistency of reaching second week is quite amazing. And I grew up on clay, so of course, you know, I do feel comfortable playing on clay, even though in my career I probably had more wins on faster surfaces in terms of you know, bigger titles, but I still feel, you know, I enjoy playing on clay. I won some big titles on clay, and I won this tournament and played several finals and many semifinals, you know, semifinal editions as well. So, you know, it's, you know, it's been a while since I performed here for the first time. But I still want to keep going, and you know, obviously I've been playing really well this year, and you know, reaching a second week of a slam is a success. But you know, now the real deal starts, you know, I would say, and the matches are going to get more challenging, because the opponents you're going to play are better quality and higher ranked and so forth, and so it's going to get only tougher from here. But I look forward to it. Then the second thing you said about Mats Wilander, you know, I appreciate, of course, nice words and compliments from Mats. You know, he's one of the legends of our sport, and someone that made a history of this sport. And if I'm not mistaken, he was one of the first players to actually hold 3 out of 4 slams in a year, in '88 exactly. So he's, you know, he's someone that is around the tour, that travels a lot and follows tennis, and I had an interview with him several days ago, so I thank him for nice words. I will not say more than that. I don't know what to say. I mean, I've never played or fought against cactus in my life, so when I do that, if I get a chance, then I'll answer your question. But look, you know, I think I've answered this question before. Right now, of course, if you ask me about Federer and Nadal, I am grateful to be part of the era with them, because I think that they made me the player I am. today, and the success that I had, especially on the Grand Slams, was also due to the kind of a need to improve and to get better to win against these guys, because I think most of my Grand Slam final matches and semi-final matches were against these guys. So I needed to learn how to overcome probably the biggest challenge of my career, to win against Federer and Nadal on Grand Slams. And the early phases of my career, in the first 3, 4, 5 years, I lost most of the matches I played against them in Grand Slams, and I didn't manage to figure things out that early in a career, but that was the process. And at that time, if you ask me the same question, I would probably say, I'm not really grateful to be in a part of the same era with them, but it's been a great learning curve for me playing with these guys, and it still is the same. It still is the case. I still consider these two guys my biggest rivals.
The other day, Tsitsipas was talking about leaving home at 12. You also left home at 12, and if I understand right, during a very troubled time. Could you talk about what went through your mind when you left home and the role Jelena and Nikki and your dad played?
Well, I didn't leave home for good. I went to train in Niki Pilic Tennis Academy in Germany. First time actually when I was 12, after the bombings that we had in '99. I was there during the bombings for 2.5 months. So after that was finished, then I went with my family, with my father actually and my uncle to Germany, and I stayed for a couple of months, but then I went back because I was going to school, so I did not leave for good. I was still living in Serbia and partly in Germany as well, because I was training there. Niki was my tennis father, and Jelena Gencic was my tennis mother. I mean, those two people were, Niki still is obviously very influential in my career, in my life, very impactful people that just cared a lot about me, about my family, about my professional, private life, and I will never forget what they did for me. Jelena is not with us anymore, but she was, probably the most important person in tennis that I ever had, and she taught me all the foundations of tennis and all the fundamentals, and I inherited that passion for the game from her, and understanding of the game, understanding of holistic approach to sport, to life. And Niki and his wife accepted me as their own child when I was 12, because my father and my uncle that spent a week or two with me in Germany, they had to go back, and it wasn't easy for them to leave a 12-year-old boy, in a different country for another month and a half, but they did that because they felt comfortable with, and they trusted Niki and his wife, and they really took care of me. And that's something that I'll carry forever in my heart. I mean, these people are my family.